speaking about the next level, we've got a young gentleman here called Ryan Stewman. You might follow him on Facebook. You might already be friends with him on some kind of social media platform. And he's got his whole entourage there that's called the Break Free Academy. The cool thing about Ryan is back in 2012 when him and I were slumming at Starbucks because we didn't have an office, we met for the first time. And he said, dude, let me post social media for you. So I paid him $100 and he would sit at Starbucks over on Preston and Park, somewhere over there in Plano, and he would geek out and he would post, you know, a few of our agents' social media profiles, and he was probably making about $500 a week or something, right?
It wasn't very much.
Yeah, no. So, but it was cool. You know, it was like before Hootsuite was Hootsuite, and we had, what was it, Postfuser? It was called Postfuser. So he's very much an entrepreneur at heart. I'm going to let him tell you guys all about his story. I'm sure that's part of his speech. But you know, he went from making $500 now to 7 figures. I don't know. What's it now? So
multiple 7 figures.
Yeah, 7 figures. He's being humble, but done extremely well. Our paths have always been in parallel. Consider him a dear friend. In fact, he's one of the coming to my wedding. Really excited about that next month. And anyway, it's been really great to see his company grow. They just opened up an office in Addison, and of course he's going from a one-man show now to several, I don't know how many employees you have, but he's wrote 5 or 6 books. It's constantly quoted on Forbes, Entrepreneur, Success Magazine. What's the other one? Huffington Post, right? So, and as I mentioned in the meeting, in the email yesterday, all right, he's going to tell you like it is. So hopefully you don't get your feelings hurt. All right, that's what makes Ryan Ryan. All right, he's what has been called a sales critic. So I promise you, you're going to get a lot of knowledge from Ryan. He charges people, CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, thousands and thousands of dollars for them to come in and train the sales staff. He trains mortgage, real estate agents, car salesmen, anything that requires a selling position. His company trains him. So we're really fortunate to have him here. He's doing this for free because he's a friend of ours. So soak it all up. You can follow him he can tell you all about where you can follow him on all the different platforms. So let's give him a round of applause.
So, yeah, man. Thank you, JP. Appreciate that. So can y'all hear me, or do I have to carry one of these microphones? All right, we good? We good? All right, cool. Well, thanks for the applause, everybody. So let's do this. It's kind of cool that I'm here with JP because like he said, we both started our businesses at the same time. Like we were literally putting our stuff together. He was putting deals together at Starbucks to get agents like you and seats and rooms like this. And I was doing the social media for people back when I would say, hey man, let me show you how to make some money from Facebook. People go, especially here in Texas, they go, the Facebook? I don't think so, man. That's for my friends and family. And it was hard convincing people. That's why it was $100. And I tried to forget about that history of doing 3 posts a day for 70 people for $100 a month. That's what I did. But I gained an immense amount of experience, and I learned how to generate a ton of leads on Facebook through doing that. And so like that's evolved into what we do today, which I'll tell you all about. So let me ask you guys a few questions. So who in here wants to generate their own leads? Just raise your hand. Come on, participate, even if who wants to grow a team in real estate? Some of you want to be an agent forever. Some of you want to have teams. I promise you the way to make real money in this business is to grow a team. Who wants to sell more homes this year and next year and the year after? All right. And who wants more listings? Any buyers reps in here? Who just does buyers only? Nice. Who just does listings only? No specialists. All right. I gotcha. And who in here is willing to invest in their business? Right. Is anybody who in here has invested in their business before? Cool. Awesome. So let's do some housekeeping. I'll just ask, and I don't say this to like brag, but typically for me to speak to a room like this, I charge $50,000, and I do that often. Like JP said, I'm quoted in Forbes. I'm a 6-time best-selling author, and so JP being a really good friend of mine because we started our business together, I'm here for no pay. And I have no problem doing that, but all I ask is that you guys pay close attention to what I'm about to say today, because this, even though you get it for free and JP gets it for free, this is things that, like he said, high-level people pay a lot of money for. And I promise you this, if you'll pay attention to the things that I'm going to teach you today, you will leave here with some knowledge that you can implement that will make you more money. I promise. I've seen it happen over and over again. I've got 2 loan officers in the back of the room that are my clients that do over $200 million a year in production. You know, so because they follow the principles that I'm about to share with you today. So I want you guys to really open your mind to what's going on here. So grab a pen and a paper if you can, right? I would just ask you flip your phone upside down, because here's what I know. You're going to forget 70% of everything I say up here. You got things wondering if you left the garage door open, right? Wondering what the kids are doing at their first day of school, all those things. And so I know that if you write it down, you reduce that to 35%. And if you write the important things down that stick out in your mind, what happens is you'll save a lot more of that information, because you're going to leave here and then you're going to be all jazzed about doing things, and tomorrow you're going to wake up and go, dang it, what was that thing I was going to do again? Because it just happens. We get busy. So I would urge you to write some stuff down today. Like I said, if you would, flip your phone upside down. If you got a laptop open, you probably shut it. I'm going to tell you some stuff it's just going to be worth your attention, I promise. And I move quick, so I would hate for you to miss something, because here's what I do know. You can know everything that I'm about to tell you. You can be equally as intelligent and equally as experienced as me in this, and there's probably people in the room that are. But what if I just say one thing, one sentence, one phrase of words that changes the way that you think, that unlocks the closed door inside of your mind that allows you to make more money? But if you're looking at your phone and you miss that one sentence or that one phrase, it could cost you a lot of money just by missing out. So I want you to take this serious. And then obviously I want you to implement what you learned here today. You know, I'm not teaching this just to hear myself talk. I could do that from home in a podcast studio or something like that. I'm here for you guys. I really am. I know a lot of speakers like to get on the stage and talk about, you know, things that are beneficial to them. I'm here so that everybody in this room has an opportunity to go take action on the stuff that they learn and make some more money. Is that cool, everybody? Awesome? Cool. All right, so kangaroos, right? We're going to give you some free stuff today, and just so give you a dictionary of words that we use. And yes, it's two kangaroos fucking, but it'll be all right. So kangaroos are people that don't buy stuff, right? Their arms too short to fit in their back pocket where their wallet is. They always putting free shit in their pouch. They hop around. They leave. They're a pest in most countries. So in the sales world, we call kangaroos people that don't buy stuff, leads that show up that don't answer the phone, people that want free reports and free CMAs and free listing appointments and free marketing and want you to reduce your commission and all that. We call those people kangaroos. So if you hear me use the word kangaroo a few times, then at least you'll know what we're talking about. So I think it's important to bring that out, because I use the word kangaroo weird, and at the end of it, people are always like, you should probably explain that in the beginning, because you lost the whole room when you said that. So you can get the Hardcore Closer app on your phone by texting Closer to 44222. It's absolutely free. I keep a lot of sales articles, podcasts, videos. I create a lot of content. I've got 3 million views on YouTube with 1,500 videos. I've got 1,400 blog posts that I've written for Hardcore Closer. I recorded over 400 podcasts. I've been doing this for a long time. All that didn't happen overnight. But there's a ton of content in one place you can get right there on your phone. You don't have to pay for it. You don't have to download it through the App Store. It's something you can save right there on the screen of your phone. So, and then also I'd like to give you guys opportunity when you leave here to get a copy of my book for free. Elevator to the Top. We've sold more than 20,000 copies of it. It's one of the bestsellers on Amazon on a weekly basis. It's an ongoing bestseller on Amazon, and even that's with us giving them away. I think we've given away 10,000 of them. No, 5,000 that we've given away. So, but you can go to elevatortothetop.com and get a free copy of that book, a paperback, not an ebook. Like we'll send you a paperback copy of it at elevatortothetop.com. I like to start out by giving stuff. I told you I'm here to help you guys, right? So I can offer you access to an app that I've put together to help you make more sales and give you some motivation, inspiration. I can give you a book that's been read by some of the top salespeople in the country that have said that it's changed their life. So I just want to give you guys an opportunity to get your hands on some of my stuff after I leave here. So how many people in the room have followed any of our stuff or have even heard of us at Hardcore Closer or Break Free Cabs? So like 5. Great. I am not doing my fucking job. Right? You spend $100,000 a month on Facebook ads and 5 people in the room know you. Damn it, I gotta rework that shit, huh? So that's funny. But that's cool. Christine here was at one of our very first get-togethers that we did like this, and I think she was all alone. I think it was just me and her. Even my mama didn't show up to the first one. And but I've been doing this since 2012, like JP said. But prior to that, I was in the mortgage business. And I still flip about 7 houses a year. Right now I own 4 houses, so I'm an active real estate buyer and seller, even though I'm not an agent, right? Because I flip houses, it'd be weird to have a license and all that, right? Because what y'all gotta do is some ethical stuff I can negotiate. And the rules don't apply to me. But I do flip houses, so I'm actively involved in real estate. Anytime somebody's got a good deal, you should hit me up because we buy them if they're for legit good deals. So I just went to the auction last week in Collin County. Anybody ever done that? I bought a house for cash, but I got a plan. Next time I'm gonna let y'all in on something. Y'all ready for this? I got a plan next time. This time some dude bid me up by 40 grand, right? I still ended up getting the house because I'm a winner. But we're gonna find out about that though when I sell it, right? But yeah, hoarder lived there. The pool was destroyed. It was terrible. Actually, there was a sign on the fence when I got to the house after I bought it. And the sign on the fence said, please get rid of this large weed tree. And I smoke pot. I was like, oh, hell yeah, dude. I just bought the perfect fucking house. Nobody's gonna know. I'm gonna put it in a bag and leave. But apparently this house had been sitting there so long that somebody like dropped a twig in the backyard and it had grown into this just huge, like literally a weed tree. It was like terrible. It's like 30 foot tall too. Took us 2 days to cut it down. Had to call professional lumberjacks. It's crazy. Did y'all know Paul Bunyan's retired? Anyway, so I've been doing this since, like JP said, since 2012. I got the name Hardcore Closer because I worked inside of a Chicago title. And I've always been a sales guy. Never had a commission I've never had a salary job my entire life. I've lived on commission every day of my life that I've ever earned a paycheck. And so like closer is a thing that you call salespeople or whatever. And I came from the mortgage industry, and then I've worked in the car business for a little while, not too long. But I worked with this title company, and the lady showed up at a closing one time. This old blue-haired lady, you know what I mean? Like probably 75 years old, shows up with this card and it said closer on it. And I thought, well, they got a different meaning over there in the title company than obviously we have in the sales world, right? And then as we got to know these title people, start doing business with them, this whole company full of older ladies, right? And all their cards said closer. And so it started off as a joke. We're like, those are the real hardcore closers. And then it turned out the domain was open. And so I stored some stuff that I made for JP and a few other people on the domain. And eventually, somehow, through search or whatever, people started watching the videos that me and JP made and I had made for a couple other loan officers around town. And then people started calling me the hardcore closer, which was not my intention at all. But I'm smart enough to know this. If the marketplace gives you a cool nickname, you should go with it, right? Because I could have turned that one down. They've been like, okay, Shitty McShitpants, that's your new fucking nickname, right? You never know what you're going to get. So I was just like, I'm going to take the cool one and stick with it. So, but it wasn't always multiple 7-figure years and $200 million per year producers in our group. I had to start somewhere. My site actually started out looking like this. I designed it myself. Some of the things that I'm going to talk about technology-wise today, we say like you kids have it so much easier these days. When I started out on the internet, we had to figure out how to code sites. We had to actually make WordPress blogs. And Pat, were you even around when we did it like that, or did you catch on the lead page phase? Yeah, man, we used to have to upload our own blogs and stuff. That's why this one looks like shit. I'm not a designer. I'm not. But I made it happen, and this is the website where they found the videos of JP and I, and they started coming here. So I've worked with some celebrities. Anybody know who this guy is? Actually cropped JP out of this picture. He's on the other side. I'm not even shitting you. It's like I used it as a profile picture on Facebook. I'm like, JP can get his own damn picture. He can crop me out of the other side. But that's Josh Flagg from $1 Million Listing Los Angeles. I worked with him back in 2014. There's Frederick Eklund somewhere in there. I've done 4 programs with Frederick Eklund, and we actually, the year that I started working with him, his TV show on Bravo was the last place show on the entire network. And the next season, after we launched our Facebook ads and did everything to promote these programs, their show was #1 on the channel, and they got nominated for an Emmy. And so that's like the power of marketing. And Frederick now does 1.2, 1.3 billion a year, just him and his small team. Now, granted, they're not selling $300,000 homes in Frisco. They're selling, we're standing out in front of probably a $60 million unit that we looked at up there in New York. So agents, there was actually some agents that worked for JP that went up there with us. But there's actually, you guys obviously heard the news, Keith Moses is in the back of that picture as well. So we've been doing this for a while, and showing up at these $60 million penthouses. Did you know in New York they have buildings where the floor's heated? Like you take your shoes off the front door and the floor's heated so it's not cold? People got way too much money. There's Madison Hildebrand, who's also $1 Million Listing New York. I have done some events and stuff with him as well. My pal Altman, who we see on a pretty regular basis, thanks to Dustin Black. Does anybody use Black Tie Moving here? You should. They're definitely the best in the area. By hands down, they've moved me 7 times. Dustin and JP and I are all really good friends. We have a chat box on our phone that might have some questionable material that if I ever need to blackmail your broker, I'm good. But Dustin's good friends with Tillman, has a business, and we've done a lot of speaking events together as well. Katrina Campen, she's Donald Trump, whether you like him or not. She's his top agent that works for his company, and she's also Tommy Hilfiger runway model. This picture that we took, just a side note, is in Miami, and if you notice on the back of these pictures, these are all platinum albums that were recorded in the same place where we recorded our commercial together. That was like one of the highlights of my life. It's like, oh, Third Eye Blind grew up to that, and like there's Blink 182 and Pink's first platinum albums. Like, that's cool. I recorded in the same studio as people way cooler than me, so it's a good feeling. But so how all this happens through hard work and marketing and being consistent and creating content. Like I said, I have over 1,500 videos on YouTube. Probably 800 of them are free videos, so you can go to Clixo, CLYXO.com/closer. So that's CLYXO.com/closer, and you can see all my social media channels. So if you're into one thing or another, you just click wherever you want. And through advertising. And so that's mainly what we're going to talk about today, because I believe that when you have sales and advertising and you marry the two together, that's when, I know in my personal life, that's when I started making millions of dollars. They just wrote an article about me in the Huffington Post about how I turned $25 when I got out of federal prison in 2008. $25 in my name. My ex-wife left me while I was in there, took every dime that I had. I got a Dear John letter and all that good stuff. She left me for the landscaper. And shit you not, I'm not even kidding. Like, it's hilarious now, but back then it was not fucking funny, trust me. I went into prison a millionaire and I came out with $25 to my name. You know, I had to move back in with my mama. You know what I'm saying? This shit was not cool at all. But I built, last year we did $3 million in sales. And last year we had 6 employees, maybe this year we have 15, we'll do double that. But I've done all this through advertising. And so the things that I'm gonna show you today have not only worked for myself, they work for my clients and everything else, but I know that if you're just good at marketing, you'll never close sales, right? If you're just good at closing sales, you'll have a really hard time generating leads. A lot of people in the real estate business struggle with one or the other. They say, hey, if you put me in front of somebody, I can close them. Problem is, I don't know who to get in front of. You know, I've already refinanced my mom's house 3 times. I've already listed my aunt's house twice and nobody wants to buy it because she wants it overpriced. Like, I don't know who else to get in front of. Well, today I'm going to teach you how to get in front of people with advertising. So the first thing that I had to do when I got in this business was generate leads. I had to learn to generate leads. Because I told you guys I was in federal prison, I used to not be a nice guy. You know, I got caught with some guns and doing some shit that I probably shouldn't have been doing. Not probably, I definitely shouldn't have been doing, especially according to the law of the land. And I had to go do 15 months in federal prison. And when I got out, I had lost a lot of the credibility of the marketplace. You know, like, hey, this dude just did my loan last year and now he's on parole. That's kind of weird, you know? And I needed to talk to new people. Well, in 2010, I lost my mortgage license because of my stint in federal prison. If you guys remember when Dodd-Frank was passed, what happened was they went from a Texas state license to be a loan officer, I was a loan officer, into a national mortgage license. And since me and the feds already had issues, they wouldn't issue me a license. And the state of Texas was like, hey, well, you're cool with us, but as soon as this thing takes over and this national licensing thing kicks in place, we can't put your stamp of approval on mortgages anymore. And so I was forced out of the industry. They say those who coach can't. There's no bullshit over here. I can't. They won't let me. You know, and so I was forced to learn how to generate leads because any of y'all know who Kinder Reese is? Any of you guys ever met those guys? They're really good friends of mine. And when I was a loan officer, I did all their mortgages, right? So you guys know I was busy, right? I was doing a lot of business with those guys. And I went and I met Mike Reese. I was going to ask him for a job. And Mike said, well, here's what you need to do, man. You need to start teaching loan officers how you closed 183 loans last year by yourself. I didn't have a team. I didn't have any of that stuff. I had a 63-year-old man that was going to get fired that they made me take him as my assistant because of ex-felon, the boss would always say, yeah, but you're lucky to have a job here. You need to do this, you know? And so they would put shit on me like that. They really would. That's why when I lost my license, I had opportunities to continue working in the mortgage business. You know, I had, in 2009, arguably the worst year on record. I closed 183 loans, just me and this old man. And this old man, when I met him previous that year, he printed every email. We had to have a talk one day. You print another fucking email and you're gonna walk out of this. Anyway, so when this happened to me and I lost my license, I had to figure out how to get leads, right? All the loan officers I knew, I was just stealing their business. They for sure weren't gonna send me any, they weren't gonna be coaching clients. Mike Reese, anyway, I skipped the part. Mike Reese and I met. I was going to ask him for a job, and he said, you need to start coaching loan officers and teach them how to do what you did. And I said, okay, well, how do I do that? And Mike says, I paid $8,000 for these DVDs. And I'm like, Mike Reese, I love him to death. Mike, if you're watching this, you know, but he's the cheapest bastard I know. And the fact that somebody got him to spend $8,000 on something, I was mesmerized, right? I did loans for Mike since 2005. He still drives the same car today that he drove in 2005, and it was paid off then, right? So like he's very, very tight with his money. He's very good with it, the exact opposite of me. And so he tells me he spent $8,000 on these DVDs, and I'm intrigued, right? And he lets me borrow them, and I watch them. And they start teaching this process called online lead gen and direct response marketing. Anybody ever heard those words before? All right. And so I'm mesmerized into this world of learning to code websites and learning how to do all this stuff. And that's what got me down this path, because I knew that if I was going to be able to sell coaching, I had to find strangers. You know, it's always weird speaking in front of your hometown. You do a favor for somebody like JP, and you know, everybody is in the room for free, and they maybe don't know you, or you're just like some local guy or whatever. It's kind of awkward, you know, and I knew that none of the local guys were going to send me business, because they're going to be like, isn't that the dude that I just stole a realtor from last week, right? So I had to find people out on a national level and get after finding leads. I think I just turned this thing off. I did. There we go. So Facebook organic has changed a lot. Anybody ever get a lead and close a deal from Facebook? Right, like in your DM, just leave your hands up for a second so I can see how many people. If you've ever closed a house transaction from Facebook, so about only half the room. That's kind of crazy considering it's 2017, there's almost 2 billion people on the website. I'm gonna say, some of y'all that haven't closed a deal from Facebook, I'm gonna hook you up today. But Facebook's changed a lot. There was a time back when I managed JP's media that whatever you posted showed up in the news feed. You know, there was a time when you could come up with a URL, and whatever that URL was, if people searched for it, it would show up on the front page of Google. But nowadays, there's so many websites out there and so many different Facebook profiles that neither one of those things happen organically anymore. And so when it comes to Facebook, a lot of you that said that you haven't closed a deal from Facebook is probably because people don't see your post. And I'm going to teach you some stuff today to help you get more people to see your post, because here's what I know: when you join a real estate brokerage, especially if you're brand new, what happens is they say, okay, what you got to do is you got to go out, you got to work your warm network, right? Anybody ever get told that as soon as you get started? You got to go out and you got to find out who in your warm network owns a home or wants to buy a home, right? That's like the first line of business when you get into being a real estate agent. Well, the thing is, most people think their network's like their friends from their past work or like some, you know, their family and stuff like that. But we have a huge network on Facebook. How many of you have over 500 friends on Facebook? Almost all of you. And if you think about it, 64% of people in America own a home. So for every 100 people, there's 64 of them that own a home. But let's just say that some of your friends are married and you have an exorbitant amount of deadbeats in your friends list, right? We'll just say that. So let's just say that out of every 100 friends, you've got 30 people that could potentially, that own a house, that could potentially list their house with you. And then you've got 70 people that want to buy a house, because the American dream is to own a home, right? Like nobody's going, you know what, I'm never going to buy a house. Even though the New York Post has been writing those articles and stuff about millennials not buying houses, it's because, like, if you think about it, if you just get out of college, you got a lot of student debt. My boys Kenneth and Kellen are probably not going to give you a loan if your debt ratios aren't right. You know what I mean? You get out of debt and you go $70,000 in college loans, and those things are $400 a month, and you only make $40,000 a year. You can't qualify for a house. So it's not that they even don't want to buy one. It's just that their numbers ain't right yet. And so, anyway, so back to the story here. So what I'm going to teach you today is how to get your exposure. So your warm network is the people that are on Facebook. And if every 100 people, you have 30 that own a home, and you have 70 that at some point in their life are going to need to buy a home, right? Then if you have 500, that's 150 transactions that are right there, listings, 150 listings that are right in front of you over the next 5 years. You think about that, the average person buys and sells a home every 5 years. So if you take 150 people out, as long as you're in front of those people, because the goal is when they decide that it's time for them to buy or list a house, you need to be the person they think about, right? When someone thinks about sales training or lead gen, it's my job as a marketer to make sure that my whole network knows that I'm the guy. It's my job to be getting tagged on Facebook every time somebody's like, hey, who do you know that's really good at advertising? It's my job to make sure that the people in my warm network are promoting me, that they're tagging me. Every day on Facebook, every day, millions of times per day, somebody goes on Facebook and says, who knows a good real estate agent? Wouldn't it be awesome if your entire warm network knew that you were that good real estate agent and they tagged you in those comments? Anybody ever gotten tagged in a comment on a post like that? Absolutely. It's a good feeling, right? You're like, oh, that's a referral. That's not just somebody tagging me on a Facebook post. That's a referral. This is a call for a direct message, right? I'd be more than happy to show you homes. Where are you looking? And so Facebook's a very powerful website. So I know that these days, it's kind of, I was really surprised to see that half the room hadn't closed a deal from Facebook. How many people are brand new agents in the room? A little bit, about a quarter, so okay, I get that too. Interesting, we're gonna step that up today. So Facebook's changed a lot since 2008. Facebook's based on 3 things, write these down: weight, time decay, and affinity. Weight as in heavy, not weight as in patient. Weight, time decay, and affinity. When you are making a post on Facebook, those are the 3 factors that matter the most. And I'll explain each one of them, but those are the 3 factors that Facebook decides whether they're gonna put you in your friend's news feed or whether your stuff's gonna disappear, never to be seen again, right? Your posts that don't get any likes, that's because they didn't put them in the news feed. It's not because your friends don't like you, it's that your friends didn't see it. So stop taking it personally, some of you. So first of all, weight. That's the amount of likes, comments, shares, replies to comments, hearts, stars, moons, all that crap they have on there, rainbows, all that stuff that's on there. And that's the amount of engagement basically you get. And the higher the number, the heavier the weight, obviously. And I know a lot of social media people say, it's not really about likes and comments, but it is, because if people are liking and commenting your stuff, that means that they're seeing it. And I'll give you the rest of the equation of why that's really important in a minute too. But if people are liking and commenting on your stuff, then they're seeing you. And if you want your warm network to, anytime somebody thinks about buying, selling, listing, renting, investing real estate, you want them to think about you, then you need people engaging and liking your post on a regular basis so that you're on top of mind. We live in a busy world. Do you know that we see 3,500 advertisements every single day? Some of us are only up like 12 or 15 hours a day. We see that many advertisements every single day. There's that many, 3,500 different people trying to get your attention at all times. And so when you think about that, you've got to be able to, you're one of those advertisers, and you've got to be able to stay in front of them and get their attention. So the first is weight. The second is time decay. You have 70 seconds on average from the time you post on Facebook to get some engagement from somebody, a like, a share, a comment. And so what Facebook does is you make a post, and in the first 70 seconds, let's say you got 1,000 friends, it might show 50 of them your post. Because at any given point, all 1,000 of your friends aren't online simultaneously just waiting, as much as we like to believe this. They're not just waiting on our post, right? And so what happens is they distribute it to a small amount of people, like a test case, to see who's going to engage in your post. And out of those 50 people, if some of those 50 people that saw that post hit the like button or leave a comment or something like that, it starts that 70-second clock back over. But more importantly, it might show another 150 people your post. And if some of those 150 go ahead and engage and say, hey, yeah, I like this, or leave a comment or share it or whatever the case, then it keeps expanding. And so the likes and shares are getting you more and more exposure. That's why they're so important. But that time decay is huge, because every 70 seconds, right, if you ever have a post that was getting a whole bunch of likes and it just lost steam and it just kind of like disappeared, well, you can go back to those posts and you can restart that clock. And since you go back, you might reply to somebody's comment, or you might ask her to go on that post and reply to your comment, and it starts that clock, and it'll start showing the people that were already notified from seeing it, and it'll start showing other people as well. That's why the that's why the on this day, if you look on the app on your phone, the on this day, like Facebook's on the left-hand side, it's got a little thing that says where you were 2, 3, 4 years ago. You go back and engage on that, it puts that in your friends that were on that picture, it puts them in their news feed again too. And especially you're on this day, if it pulls up a post where you had 100 likes or whatever, then you restart that 70-second clock, and let's say 1,000 people saw that, it might show it to 1,500 more people on top of the 1,000 that saw it originally. So you don't even have to always come up with new content. You can go, if you have a post that's a hit, you can go back and keep working that time manipulation there from that time decay. But after 70 seconds, what happens is it goes to what we call the sidebar of doom, like where all the apps and all the notifications and stuff are, and some of us don't even have that anymore. But so your job is to keep this in the newsfeed. The third part, so you got weight, time decay, and affinity. Now this is the important part is affinity. That's the amount of engagement that you can keep up with another person. So affinity is like if you and I like each other's status, if we send each other direct messages, if you comment on my stuff, if I comment on your stuff. So affinity is the interaction with an individual profile or fan page, right? Because you have affinity with business pages too. And so I'm going to teach you how to create affinity with the right people. So we have this thing we call our Dream 25 list. It's 25 people we want to do business with. For you guys, you may not know 25 people that want to list their house right now, but I bet you know 25 people who know 25 people that want to list their house. Financial advisors, tax attorneys, what else is out there? CPAs, mortgage guys, title people, appraisers, inspectors, investors, like people that can refer those houses to you guys. You need to make a list of 25 people that you want to get business coming. We call that the Dream 25. If I had a dream list of these dream clients, these are those 25 people. And now you may not know that person personally right now. You might not, like we're in Warren Buffett's dealership, which by the way, this place is extremely nice, like extremely nice. You go in the men's bathroom, it's like private, they don't even have urinals. It's like private stalls in there. There was a dude in there, that's fucking mind blowing to me. Yeah, I'm a dude, right? I'm like, where are the urinals? I'm like, oh shit, I'm in the wrong bathroom, right? Because it's like, it's weird. You walk in it, that's the number one sign, you're in the dude's bathroom, there's urinals. There's a dude in there trying to open the doors because they're all like, and I was like, he's like, man, it's like, what's behind door number 2 in here? I was like, probably a number 2, bro. You know, just saying. You set me up for that one, man. I can't not retell it. So, but back to this. So affinity works like this. That's how you engage with another profile. And so if you send somebody a direct message, then the chances of them seeing your next post are really great because Facebook's saying, hey, this person has affinity. So with your Dream 25 list, you pick out people, even if it's Warren Buffett. Maybe it's like, it's a true Dream 25 list. It's not an average 25 list, right? There's no sense in doing that. So it's a Dream 25 list, and you put those referral sources on there, send those people friend requests, and set it up to where when they post, you go on and you comment on their page, right? Every now and then, send them a direct message. And don't send them a direct message saying, hey man, you think about buying some real estate? Right? That's not cool. What you do is what's called social reconnaissance. You go to their Facebook page before you send anybody a message. In direct message, this is how you do it. See, we got to be human here, just as if we were doing this in person. You can't, a lot of people treat online different than offline, and that's how you lose money. But so what you do is you do social reconnaissance. You go and you look at their page and you see where they've been and what they've been up to and what they're posting about. And when you go and you do that, you send them a direct message. Let's say that you saw they went to the zoo, right? So we went on their page, we saw that they took their kids to the zoo. I'm gonna hit them up in the direct message like, hey man, looks like you went to the zoo the other day. I've been thinking about taking my boys over there too. Was it good? Was the exhibits good? What was your favorite? You know, just like a conversation with this person. Because here's what conversations, like for us business people, here's where conversations go. They start off with how's the family and everything else, then how's business, right? Like we wanna know, you know, how's business? That's how's things going, how's business? It's just like a common, especially among entrepreneurs, it's just a common thing to ask each other. JP and I have been friends forever. Every time we talk, he's like, hey man, how's business going? How's your going? You know? And so it's naturally gonna happen, but you don't need to force it up front. So instead, what you need to do is do some social recon, ask them, it's like, hey, I saw you were at the zoo, what was your favorite exhibit there? And they're gonna reply, it's like, awesome, man, well, how are you and the family doing? Like, actually, act like you give a damn instead of just like reaching out telling people you sell real estate. What happens is you'll be different because most people don't give a damn and most people just hit them up and ask them to do a real estate deal with them. But you've actually taken the time to figure out what they're into and show them, because listen to this, people post on Facebook so that we'll pay attention to them. Imagine that. So if the dude posts that he went to the zoo, he wants somebody to acknowledge that he took his kids to the zoo. So if you're reaching out, then you're doing the very thing that he put that on there to do, right? You're obliging him with what he wanted. He wanted people to know that he took his family to the zoo, and then you're acknowledging that in a direct message, having a conversation. It's like, hey man, we see what you're doing out here. And so the direct message is huge, but you want to use the social reconnaissance. Here's the best way that I know to prospect people. You can run through about 90 people in a month doing this. We call it the Lucky 7 method. Every day, you should do 3 things. You should comment on one person's post. You got your Dream 25 list. You should be doing this with your Dream 25. You should comment on at least one person you can get business from's post. You should send one person that you can get business from a direct message, a private message or whatever. And you should write on one person that you can get business from, you should write on their wall. 3 little things, super easy to do. You do that for 30 days, that's 90 different people that you've prospected, got in front of, and created affinity with. Now here's what's cool. The human mind can maintain relationships with about 50 different people. Well, Facebook understands that as well. And so like it's hard to remember people's names after 50 people. That's why someone says, hi, I'm such and such. And you're like, fuck, what did she just say her name was? Right? Because we're like, dude, I'm already trying to keep up with all these other relationships in my head. I don't have time to store another relationship as well. We can only handle about 50. And so Facebook knows that. So at any given time, you're only going to see about the same 50 to 60 different pages and stuff. You always see the same people in your news feed, the 50 or 60 people that you engage with the most. Facebook understands that principle. But that doesn't mean that only 50 or 60 people can see you. Because like I only see 50 or 60 people when I scroll, but on my personal Facebook page, I have like, I don't know, like 50,000 followers. And so there's at least 20,000 people that see our stuff. On Hardcore Closer, my business page, every time we post, there's 40 or 50,000, there's like 190,000 people on that page, I think. Every time we post, there's 40 or 50,000 people that see our post, but there's no way I see that many posts from people if I was to scroll through that thing. And so you can have your 50 relationships, 25 of them be your dream 25 that you're being strategic about, but you can create affinity with a lot of other profiles to where there's a lot more people seeing you than you're seeing them. Go through this here. And so here's the best way to get people to pay attention to you on Facebook. We call it the whip effect, but I'm going to give you some insights, some common sense stuff that you probably really haven't thought about. Because here's what I know. I'm a room full of smart people. You guys have all passed a real estate exam. That's not some easy shit. I got a friend right now, she's failed it 4 times in a row. If you're watching, yes, I'm talking to you. And it's not exactly easy, you know what I mean? And you guys are a room full of smart people. And what I do really well, and the reason why people pay me so well for my expertise, is I take big, complicated things and make them really simple. The problem is when you do that for smart people, they fuck it up by trying to overcomplicate it, right? They're like, it can't be that simple. And I'm like, no, it is. No, it can't be that simple, but it fucking is, right? And so I'm just asking you, don't knock what I'm about to share. Don't knock the simplicity of it. That's the power, because here's the thing. You guys are real estate experts, right? I'm a real estate expert too, because I did mortgages and house flipping. These folks over here, they don't know. They don't, like, what if they haven't bought a house before? Maybe they're on house number 2, right? They're not real estate experts. They're experts at what they're doing over here in their culinary work. Right? And so we start treating them like they're the experts and they understand things to the level that we do. We totally confuse them. And when you confuse people, they won't make a decision. If people refuse to make a decision, they won't do business with you. Right? So the things that I'm going to explain today are real simple, because if you keep it simple, it's just easier for you to understand and the audience, but don't knock it. So the simple thing is, when you're on Facebook, make it about them and not you. Everybody gets on Facebook and they're like, selfie, look at me, right? I took my kids to the zoo. I took my wife out on a date. I took my family to this vacation. I'm #1 top producer. I'm this. Everybody's on Facebook and they're talking about themselves, which is awesome. We want to know a little bit about you, right? But the way to really stand out is post for them. So if you have this Dream 25 list of people that you want to do business with, you need to think, what would these folks want to read? What would these folks want, if they were to watch my Facebook page every day, what would these 25 people, what type of shit would they want me to post? I've been doing this for 7 years. I have I think we're right at 250,000 followers between Facebook and Instagram. And I've built my whole business around this principle. You see this right here? This is me giving them some motivation, right? It's like, hey, you're going through hell, keep going type stuff, right? You don't have to read it, it's not that big of a deal. Just it's motivation from my audience, because I know who my audience is. It's salespeople. And sales is a hard-ass job. When your whole day is filled with 97 no's and 3 yeses, it's a motherfucker at the end of the day. That's why we do drugs. That's why we drink. That's why some of us are extremely promiscuous and everything else. Hey, I know my people. You know what I'm saying? Some of y'all are laughing because y'all are fucking them, right? It's okay. I'm one of y'all. Like, I'm not judging shit. I'm in the choir singing. So, but here's the thing. I know that that's my audience, right? My audience isn't like the church on Sunday, suit and tie, corporate warrior. And so I'm not speaking their language. I'm speaking the language to the entrepreneurs and the people that I help with, and I make sure that I post for them. And because they know that I'm posting for them, they show up on my page every day looking for that thing that I have, right? They say, hey, you know what? I know if I go to Ryan's page, he's going to say some cool shit. He's not going to be bitching about Trump. He's not going to be talking about ISIS. He's not going to be talking about some bullshit rallies in this place or that place. He's going to have something that's for me that I can take practical application on and go kick ass in the marketplace today. And I've been doing that every day at 6:30 in the morning like clockwork for 7 years. My first discovered Facebook, like that this shit worked, was back in 2008. told you my ex-wife left me for the landscaper. Well, I made my Facebook post public, and I was top producer at this mortgage company before very long, consistently for a couple of years. And I want to make sure she knew. You know what I'm saying? That was like, but what happened was people started hitting me up. They started saying, hey, do you think you could do my mortgage? And like the logical answer is, well, fuck yeah, I can do your mortgage. And so after that happened a lot of times, it started to click with me. It's like, dude, if I start posting for them, and then every now and then make a post for me so they get an insight on my life, but if I start posting for them, it'll work. So think about that. Your post, if you go back and look on your Facebook page, you talking about stuff that you're doing all the time and how cool you are and all this other stuff, or you giving value to your marketplace, you know? And I'm not saying it's wrong to be about you, because that's what you've been taught. That's what we've been conditioned to. That's what everybody does. But we call this the whip effect, because like when you pull the whip back, there's a momentum point before it snaps forward, right? And so we call it the whip effect, because what we're going to do is we're going to post 2 or 3 times for them and then 1 time about us. So like I like to post 2 or 3 times a day on Facebook. And it's just been a habit of mine for forever. On my fan page, I schedule everything a month in advance, but on my personal page, they won't let you do that. So I try to post 2 or 3 times every day. In the morning, I'm posting something that's motivational. My fan base my customer base and all that can count on me consistently to post something motivational in the morning, because that's what they need. You get up with a hangover, you need somebody to kick your ass in the morning, right? In the afternoon, I'm gonna say something funny, usually around 4:20. And so they can depend on me for that too. And so I know that sales are hard days, so at the end of the day, you might need to laugh a little bit, you know? And then in the evening time, I try to give them something that is like either entertaining or educational. But about every 4th post, I'll say, hey, I have this for sale, or we're doing this program, you know? And so that's called the media marketing method. And if you think about it, all media works that way. You watch TV, it's 13, 14 minutes of TV programming, 3 minutes of commercials, right? You listen to the radio, it's 13, 14 minutes of radio time, 3 or 4 minutes commercial, despite those fuckers saying that it's an hour commercial-free radio. That is the biggest lie on the airwaves right now. Somebody call the FCC. And so same thing with Google. If you look at their website, it's 3 or 4 advertisements and then 80%, you know, organic results. Facebook's the same way in their news feed. So you need to follow that same thing. Entertain them, educate them, pitch to them. Entertain them, educate them, pitch to them. And once you start, that's a proven format. It's worked across every channel there is. Fax machines, phones, social media, TV, radio, stage plays, speaking from the stage, everything. So you should just fall right into it. They've already perfected it. All you've got to do is follow their pattern now. And so what happens though is if you have like an entertaining post, and let's say a and you got to pick your own audience, right? Don't be me, be yourself. But you have an entertaining post and an educational or motivational post or some kind of inspirational post, then when you put a business post, people are so used to going to your page and getting the value that they like, that they tolerate when you post that you've got a house for sale, or they tolerate the fact that you're looking for a buyer for an address, or that you just nailed a listing, or a picture of one of your people holding a sold sign with you or whatever. They don't bitch about that. I know sometimes people say, oh, you talk about real estate too much on Facebook and things like that. But if you start doing some for them, then they don't bitch when you got to do it for yourself too. Just like you don't throw a shoe at the commercials when they come on the TV. You know what I mean? You don't go, damn it, I was watching that. You know, just fast forward through it or whatever, right? Keep scrolling. So private messages are another huge way. I talked about that. I got a little ahead of myself when it comes to social recon. So make sure that you're doing that. There's an article on hardcorecloser.com, and you can go there and just search social recon, and it'll tell you a little bit more about that. I want to make sure that I'm respectful of y'all's time today. So here's ways that you can prospect on Facebook. I gave you how to get in front of your audience. Now I'm going to teach you how to prospect a little bit. Here's how you can prospect from. You can become a group admin. You know, there's a ton of garage sale groups in our area here. And a garage sale is what we call a tripwire. If somebody's about to sell all the shit in their house, most likely they're about to box the rest of it up and move somewhere, right? That's a pretty good indicator that somebody's moving. I know that Frisco garage sale and whatever has like 50,000 people in there, and I know personally the admins fucking hate it because they didn't expect it to have 50,000 people in there, and I admin a group of 65,000 people, and it's a fucking nightmare, so I can only imagine a garage sale group, right? And because we have 60,000 professionals in our Sales Talk with Sales Pros group that we manage, and it takes, what is there, probably 11 of us that are admins in there, and so I know the garage sales that have 2 admins are just like, they checked out a long time ago. But you as the real estate agent, you could come in and say, hey, let me clean this group up for you. I know it's a big burden. I know you didn't expect all these people to be posting and spamming and turn this shit into Craigslist. Let me be the admin. I'll clean the group up for you. You might even offer to buy it. If you could buy a group of 60,000 Frisco residents that are always talking about buying, trading, selling, and having garage sales for $1,000, buy that shit, right? And the person that started that group probably never imagined that they would get $1,000 for that group. So they're like, checked out, write me a check. And you go in there and you can clean the group up. Then you become the authority, right? Then you also, it's like, hey, while you're having garage sales this week, also check out my open house. Hey, while you're having garage sales this week, also make sure you stop by my listing. Right? So you can become the admin in there. You start seeing people posting there that they're having a garage sale. It's like, hey, what made you decide to have a garage sale? You guys moving? You got a real estate agent yet? You know? Oops. So by the way, you can join my group, Sales Talk with Sales Pros. You can go to salestalkgroup.com and we'll let you in there. I think we have right at 60,000 people right now, maybe 59 and some change. Social reconnaissance, I talked about that. And there is the article that I just mentioned as well. And so let's talk about Facebook paid traffic real quick. Anybody ever run ads on Facebook? Awesome. So the best way to run ads on Facebook is through something that I call lead ads. If you guys, or that they call lead ads rather, have you guys seen that option on there? You can capture people's name, email address, and phone number right from Facebook, and Facebook will send you an email or send the actual contact right to your CRM. It's called lead ads. But here's the thing, in a blind post is when it's a post that's not on the page, right? So like if someone goes and they scroll your community page, then the blind post is not gonna show up on that page, but it shows up in their news feed. And so what you can, like your competitors, if they see that you've got a good ad with 1,000 likes and shit like that, I don't know about y'all, but I would just steal your shit. I'd be like, oh shit, this works, I'm doing this shit too. You know, like that's the best way to measure success, right? Is find somebody that's already figured out and cracked the code and just steal from them. It's like just being honest. And so what blind post is a way to hide those from your competitors, because for those of you that have run Facebook ads, have you ever had one of your competitors get on there and bitch, right? I'm tired of seeing this post, or this is unethical, or this is against the rules. Have y'all seen that stuff, right? They say stuff, it's like, throw the rule book at me then. I have a guy that works with me, does about $40 million a year in Jefferson City, Missouri, which is like 20,000 people. And he charges 8% plus a $9.97 upfront fee in this little town, and he's dominated it. Like the next place sells like 1/4 what he does, and they've been there for 30 years, and he's been there for about 5. And when he first started running Facebook ads to take over his area, everybody complained to the board, right? It's like redneck town in the middle of nowhere. All these agents are like, the space book, what is going on here? But he took over his entire marketplace. He fought off over 25 different summons to the real estate board asking him for his marketing material and stuff, won every single time. So just to prove my point that you can run ads on Facebook to follow the right rules, but your competition can send in letters and shit like that, but there's ways around it. So blind post is one of those ways. You can exclude people through your targeting that are real estate agents. Here's what a sponsored ad, that's funny I said that. This guy, Adam Starks, the guy I was just talking about, I didn't realize that was the next slide. So it must have been subliminally in the back of my mind there. So this is a deal that he and I did. But for $25 a day, you can get a ton of leads. Right now, Kenneth is a loan officer out in the middle of fucking nowhere, East Texas. Great friend of mine, been a client for about 6 months. Kenneth, how much are you spending per day for your like agents right now? And then how many leads are you getting from Facebook paid traffic? Gotcha. So about $7 a lead. So imagine this, you have $7 a lead. How many leads are going to take you to close a house out of those? Those are people that said that they're interested in a specific neighborhood, a specific house, or buying, selling, listing real estate, right? And so think about that for $7. Here's the thing though, your business it takes a while. I know that I started looking for a house a year ago. I got kicked out of the penthouse over at the shops at Park Lane. I lived in the penthouse of that building. It was really awesome. But my wife kicked me out. She's like, no more living above yoga studios and Dallas Cowboy cheerleader workout gyms. I'm like, why? I have binoculars. Getting a little weird about it. But dude, the ladies, they did yoga in the park at noon every Wednesday. I'm like, this is my favorite day of the week, right? I lived on the 20th story, so it was awesome. But anyway, now I'm here in Plano. But it took me a year to find the house that I wanted to. Well, ever since I moved into that house, I've been looking for another house. So like it's hard. We just put an offer on one over here in Kings Ridge, I think it is, and just right across the street here. And it got sold out from under us. Some other sucker was willing to pay more than I was for it. But I've been looking for a house for the last 6 months to move into myself, and it'll probably be another year before I commit. So just because the leads come in at $7 today and they don't buy a house today or do a one-call close with you, if you have the right follow-up systems, what's been my experience is about 6 months into it, about 6 months into constantly following up with leads, they start to say, hey, yeah, you know what, we're looking at houses in this area, and you've been consistently following up with us. We appreciate it. But here's the key to following up. I teach my agents, the ones that are on TV and the ones that are like Adam that have taken over their marketplace, to send out a list of homes that they're interested in. You know, your IDX feed, you know, you give the criteria and it gives you all the new homes. Send out a new list of homes every Friday. Automatically goes out to their email. So here's your weekly, because if you get that shit daily, it's annoying. So it's like, here's your weekly list of homes, and it needs to go out on Friday. So you can set your IDX up or however you got your stuff with JP to go out every single Friday. Then every other Saturday. Now, these are for people that are long-term shoppers. If somebody tells you they want to buy a house, fucking close them, right? But somebody says they're 6 months out, this is the system you put them into. Every Friday, you should send them a list of houses, and every second Saturday, so every other Saturday, you should just call and make sure that they got the list. Hey, you still getting the list of houses? Hey, is there any questions you may have? Did you see that one particular house on this street? And just have a conversation with them and let them know that you're there and that you care about them. Right? Say, here's what, when people sign up for a lead and you get them on the phone, here's what we're going to do for you, sir. We're going to send you an email every single Friday, so expect it like clockwork at 7 a.m. to be inside your inbox with the latest list of homes. Every couple weeks, I'm going to follow up with you on Saturday to see if you have any questions and make sure you're still getting the list. Does that sound fair? Nobody's going to tell you no. I've been doing this for a long time. Nobody's going to tell you no. So, and you're not bothering them, right? You're giving them value again, following up to make sure that they get the value. And obviously you're staying in front of them, so you have an opportunity to ask them, is there anything you'd like to go see, right? Is there any houses on the list that interest you? Anything I should refine the list or add to it? You're actually there adding value to them. Because the key, thanks to social media these days, the key's in the follow-up. We're busy. I told you, 3,500 advertisements every day. You got to make sure that you're one of them. Retargeting is another huge thing. Anybody doing any retargeting ads right now on Facebook? So this is awesome. Nobody raised their hand. So here's the cool thing about, we got one smart guy over here. Good stuff. When somebody clicks your website, Facebook puts a pixel on their browser, right? So they go through Chrome, Safari, hopefully not Internet Explorer, but like Chrome or Safari, Facebook puts a pixel on their browser, like a cookie. You've heard that word before, cookie? And so what that does is they'll put your cookie on their website. And after you have put 1,000 pixels on people's people's browsers, you can go back and retarget those people. So if somebody clicks your open house ad but then doesn't show up at the open house, you can run a retargeting ad back to that person that clicked the open house ad saying still looking for homes in Dallas, Fort Worth. You know, so it's like it's one step closer. It's like, you know, they clicked this ad, so there's some interest. You can get even more targeted in their interest with the ad that way. We call it the Thank You Jesus ad. Thank you Jesus, that's exactly what I was looking for. Been praying for this. And it gives you a little pixel code like this stuff to copy and paste. It's really, really easy to do. And then you can take custom audiences. So those of you that have been doing this for a long time, you might have a big ass list of leads. You can export that into a CSV file and upload it to Facebook and run an ad to those people too. You could take a list of people that you sold a home to 5 years ago, at least as long as you have at least 500 of them, or people that you targeted 5 years ago, and you can run an ad saying, hey, it's been 5 years. When's the last time you had your home appraised? You know, it's been 5 years. My experience, the average homeowner moves every 5 years. If you're thinking about moving, hit me up. And they know who you are because you're the person that sold the home before. I create a lot of custom audiences based on everything. You're in my app. Those of you that download the app when you leave by texting closer to 44222, we have that thing pixeled and we run retargeting ads from that. So you'll see it at work. So when people start tapping inside of our app, we just retarget them. And all that leads to increased closing ratios. So, JP, am I still good on time? We got about 30 minutes?
Oh, you're good, man. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you want to identify your perfect customer. So let me show you what a funnel looks like right here. So in this case, we're talking to real estate agents. And so I have identified who my perfect customer is. A lot of us will just take anybody, right? A lot of salespeople, they'll just say, if you put me in front of somebody, I'll close them. But for me, it's a little different. I like to know exactly who I'm talking to. I knew that in this industry, most of the sales trainers, they wore a suit and tie. They went to church on Sunday. You know, they pretended like they had, whether they did or they didn't, they pretend like they have this great life. And I thought, you know what, I never met a salesperson like that. You know, I've met a lot of managers that pretend to be like that, but I never met a salesperson like that. So I stepped out and I said, I'm going to be the guy that doesn't sell to the sales manager, even though your boss brought me here, but never mind that. I want to be the guy that represents the salesperson. And I thought, well, most salespeople I know, they come from troubled past because, you know, we weren't born with silver spoons in our ass. That's why we got into sales. Hell, if we were born with silver spoons in our ass, we'd be the CEO of some Fortune 500 company or something like that, right? Most of us don't even go to college. If we did, we dropped out because we figured that you can make so much more money in real estate and you don't have to go to college and pay all that money, right? And there's beer bongs in real estate too at the right open house. And so I started identifying. I said, you know what? I have tattoos, and I don't want to hide my tattoos anymore. And you know what? Most salespeople I know have tattoos too. Raise your hand in the room if you have a tattoo. About a little over half the room. Everybody in a black shirt with me raise their hand. We just got this new office in Addison on Beltline in the tollway, and it's this building called the Colonnade. It's a really cool building, and it's huge. There's probably 15,000 people that work inside this building. And everybody's like, you know, dressed like a real estate agent inside there, all looking nice and everything. And then we roll through there in t-shirts every day that look like military t-shirts back there, like the guys are wearing with tattoos and stuff. They're starting to get used to us, but I think they thought we were going to rob them for the first 2 months. They're like, oh shit, do those guys got guns? Right? We just stick out in there pretty bad. But I identified who my perfect customer was so that I can create the material to go after them. So for you, the perfect customer needs to be identified based on a few criteria here. Who, whether you want to list or buy, because the message that you send to people that you want to list their home is different than the message you send to people who you want to represent as buyers. You need to decide whether they're luxury real estate, FHA, VA, right? There's all these little different compartments that we put them in. And then more importantly, you need to figure out what community. I think now more than ever is the best time to be farming real estate. Farming neighborhoods. Back in the day, you used to have to send a shitload of $1,500 to $2,000 a month, $1,500 to $2,000 a month postcards to people that they just threw away, right? Like you get it. I live in a neighborhood, I get postcards every day. I couldn't tell you any of them's name, none of them, right? Every day it's like, shit, man, they waste a lot of paper on this stuff. But now on Facebook, you can drop a GPS pin on a neighborhood and target within a mile, and you can run an ad to that neighborhood, and you could say, I live in Prestonwood now. You could say, hey, do you live in Prestonwood? Lived in Prestonwood for over 5 years? Your home value skyrocketed in the last 2 years. Fill out this information here to get a free appraisal report. Right? Somebody that's interested in what their home's worth, somebody that wants to know how much their homes went up. If it's went up enough, we'll sell it. I bought my home last year, and I did a complete remodel to it. We put about $120,000 in brand new stuff in it. And if someone's, and I like the house, I plan on retaining it as a rental property after I buy the next place. But if somebody came to me and I found out my house was worth twice what I paid for it, I'd be selling that bitch with that agent in a second. You know what I mean? Or if I found out it was even worth time and a half what I paid for it, I'd probably just get out from under it right now. And so that's a good tripwire. Remember I talked about that earlier in the garage sale? That's a good tripwire. If somebody wants to know what their house is worth, then there's a good reason for that, because nobody's just like, oh, I got equity, right? Equity is this magic thing that doesn't exist until you sell the house. So you want to get to know who your perfect customer is and identify them. So the best thing for you guys to do would be to pick out a neighborhood that you want to geo-target and target them on Facebook. Everybody that lives in that neighborhood should know that you're the realtor. Every time they turn on Facebook, they should see your face. But here's what I wouldn't do. I wouldn't start it from like the Ryan Stewman real estate team page. I would start a community page about that neighborhood, like people of Prestonwood, right? People of Prestonwood, you're one of those people. You know, you just happen to be people of Prestonwood's preferred realtor. It's a lot of P's, but that's how I would set it up, because then you've got, even though it's you've got third-party endorsement saying, hey, we the people of Prestonwood, we like, you know, this real estate agent. And there's no gimmicks in that either. You know, we're being straightforward. If somebody wants to know what their house appraised for, it's a good chance that they're probably interested in selling it if it appraises for the right amount of money. So it's not like we offered them a free iPad and now we're trying to sell their house. You know, opt in for a free iPad, and then the next thing you know, we're like, forget the iPad. You guys ever thought about selling your house? We're not doing that. So the other thing on your personal profile, and I'm going to try to zip through this quick, is to be yourself. There's a lot of people that are fake already. You don't have to join that club. Here's what I do know. If you pretend to be something you're not, whether it be online or in person, then you start attracting people who pretend to be something they aren't. Right? So like what could happen to you is you could pretend to be like this awesome multi-million-dollar per year earning realtor that goes to church and has this awesome life. The problem is you're going to attract a lot of people that tell you they got good credit who don't. You know what I'm saying? Because and I'm just giving that as an example, but if you put yourself out there and you're not being authentic, then you know the same thing's going to happen. You're going to attract other people that are fake too. Because here's what I do know. If I meet you and we have this agreement. It's like, I'm gonna tell you this bullshit lie story about me that I made up so people will like me. Then you immediately know, you're like, oh, that's a bullshit lie story, but I'm gonna fucking tell him a bullshit lie story that I know that people will accept me for too, right? Like, we could be having the worst day ever and we meet somebody new and they're like, hey, how's it going? We're like, oh, it's awesome. Even though, like, man, our dog might have just died or something. You know, like, we're always with these fake things. So I just say be authentic. Like I told you guys, I haven't held anything back. I told you guys the day I went to prison, told you guys covered in tattoos, like smoke pot. Like, we're leaving here to go surfing in Costa Rica and smoke pot. Like, as soon as what we're doing, we leave here. And that's just me, you know what I mean? And if you don't like it, that's cool. I got no problem with that. I completely understand I'm not everybody's cup of tea. But those I'm for, I've created 13 millionaires in the 5 years that I've been doing this. There's 13 people walking this planet right now that make 7 figures per year because of my help. So it's okay if some people don't like me, but think of what I've done to change those people's life. And I got about 15 more on their way that probably make it by the end of this year. That's why Forbes keeps quoting me. So you want to stay consistent as well. Like I said, post 2 or 3 times every single day. I know that may seem like a lot of work, but if you're posting for them, you know, you can go on your phone and you can see the trending stories on the news. You can see the trending stories on Facebook. Your trending stories might be different from mine. Because like, my friends might be talking about something completely different than your friends. And so if you look on the Facebook app, it tells you trending stories according to what your friends are talking about and what they're likely to engage on. Facebook's basically saying, hey, if you want to talk about this shit, your friends will probably chime in. And like I said, that's how you work your network. The more people that know you exist and the more people that can see your posts, the better. And then you want to create content. Anybody ever heard of a website called Medium? All right, another zero. So medium.com, it's a free blog that you can sign up for, but you can get press credentials by writing for them. Like literally, you can say, hey, I'm a blogger, which anybody can sign up for, but you can say, hey, I'm a blogger from media.com, and you can get press credentials from doing that. But as a real estate agent, think about it, nobody in this room raised their hand. Medium.com, Google loves it. Google loves it. They would get married to each other if the interwebs would allow it, but there's this whole thing and a law that's got to be passed in our state. And so, but the thing is, like, you can go and write an article about 5 reasons why you should buy houses in DFW right now. 5 reasons why now's the time to buy a house in DFW. Publish it absolutely for free on Medium, and Google starts looking for that stuff. People look for ways to buy a house in DFW, and you start showing up because Medium's already built the authority for you. And you can get paid what you're worth. Premium pricing from people, like I said, Adam Stark, the guy that I mentioned earlier in Jefferson City, charges 7% plus $1,000 upfront fee. He decided that since he lives in a town where like the average sales 120 grand, he's like, I'm gonna get paid like it's 300. You know, if I go and I list a house, I'm gonna list a house and I'm gonna keep 4% plus the $1,000 I took up front. That's the same equivalent as if I sold a $300,000 house in commission wise. And what's really cool about him is he's figured out how to, within like, let's say he closes $40 million a year, he's figured out how to get paid as if it's 100 without having to do the work. So when people know, like, and trust you, when they go to Adam, he's not ripping people off. I know some of you are looking that way, like, damn, he's ripping people off. But if you sold your house in 2 days at full price with no closing costs rolled in, and you got to get the fuck out of there and go to some other city besides Jefferson City, that would probably be worth that. You know what I mean? If you're watching Adam, I just jokes, buddy. I don't know where they're streaming this to, right? It could be right in front of everybody I've made fun of during this thing. I don't know. JP's like, joke's on you, Stewman. So the other thing is, for a real estate agent, when people come in through direct messenger, the first thing that I ask them is, what made you decide to reach out? Remember in the beginning I talked about human beings really struggling to make decisions if things were complicated? But if we get them to admit that they made a decision with us up front, if they say, hey, you know, we're thinking about selling our house, that's awesome. What made you decide to reach out? Because listen, that's not the time to start going, great, I'm the listingest, rootinest, tootinest, baddest real estate agent. I got 40 million production, 10 awards, and I'm JPAR's top guy. They don't care, right? Nobody wants a real estate agent. Write that down. Nobody wants a real estate agent. You fuckers are expensive. You are. 6%, right? You got a $500,000 house. You guys are rolling almost $50,000 in cost altogether. No, that's a lot of equity that somebody's worked for. You guys are expensive. What they do want is their house sold. What they do want is to buy a house. Right? Nobody rolls over in the middle of the night and goes, we need to give an agent 40 grand. Nah, they roll over in the middle of the night and they're like, hey, you just got fired from your job. If we don't sell our house and get some of this equity out of here, we're going to be in some serious financial trouble in a couple of months. They say, hey, like I have 3 boys right now, all under the age of 6. And so they do like me and my wife, roll over in the middle of the night. It's like, if we don't get a bigger fucking house, we're going to kill ourselves, right? It's like kids screaming all over the place, you know? We got to have a wing that we can just lock them in and it'd be soundproof. And so what you have to do is you have to ask the hard questions to figure out why they want to buy or sell a house. There's only a finite amount of reasons somebody would want to pack all their shit in a box, yell at their significant other for 3 weeks, and lose all their underwear, right? And it's not because they want a real estate agent. It's not because they want to pack their shit in a box, right? What they want to do is they lost their job, they got a raise, they're getting relocated, they're getting divorced, they're getting married, they had a kid, the kids are leaving, they're retiring, right? There's a finite amount of reasons. So you need to know when you go into every real estate, you should write every reason down that people would want to buy and sell a house. You should have it memorized. And every time you go in to have a conversation, whether it be in person or through your direct message or whatever, you should be asking to figure out which one of those finite amount of reasons why they're deciding to reach out to you. Sometimes you tell people, what made you decide to reach out? We're getting a divorce, need to sell a house, right? Like 90% of divorces, or 90% of marriages end in divorce these days, especially if you go to federal prison, you got a cute landscaper. And so, just saying, if you can't laugh at yourself, who can you laugh at? If you can't laugh at yourself, you end up crying. That's what happens. And so you got to realize what those finite reasons are so you can ask the right questions. And no loaded questions either. Ask open-ended questions, right? I didn't say what made you decide to reach out. Do you need to buy or sell a piece of property? So, hey, what made you decide to reach out? Make sure that it's open. And don't talk so much. I believe that he who speaks the least earns the most. If you go into a sales conversation and you talk more than the prospect, chances are you won't close that sale. If you let the prospect talk more than you do, chances are they'll give you their business. Here's why. Most salespeople are too busy talking and pitching to actually listen to the person to understand their situation. There's two things that close sales. There is empathy and confidence. That's it. Nothing else. Nothing else matters in the equation. Empathy is like, I understand where you're coming from, right? I get you. The only way that you can understand where somebody's coming from is when you ask them questions so you know where the fuck they're coming from, right? But most salespeople don't shut up. They're trying to tell you all about, I was nominated #1 realtor in DFW 3 times by D Magazine. Sure, I paid them, but that's not beside the point, When really, they're looking for a solution to their problem, not a real estate agent. They're looking because they retire, because they having a kid, those finite amount of answers. So you got to learn to start asking questions to where you're not talking. If you take a sales conversation and you record the amount of words said by a prospect and the amount of words said by the salesperson, whoever talks the most is the one that ends up losing the business. And pay attention to them, right? Because if they know that you're empathetic towards their situation, they're getting a divorce, they don't need you to pitch being a real estate agent, right? They need you to pitch the fact that, hey man, look, I'm gonna make this easy on you. Anytime your wife that you're going through a divorce with has problems, just send her to me and I'll deal with it and I'll answer all the questions and I'll get the financial documents she needs so that you guys don't have to get together and fight anymore. That's how much I care about your situation. You think they're gonna call the next person? No, because they're gonna be like, wow, this dude's really helping me with a bigger problem than just my real estate issue, right? Because you understand. And then confidence, when they know that you're empathetic towards them, what closes the sale is the confidence that you have that you can provide the solution. But when they understand that you get their situation and you're confident about having a solution to that situation, that's when people make a decision to buy from you. They don't know real estate like you do. They're basing their decision based on your confidence. And here's what I learned today. This is really cool, just for face-to-face sales for you guys, that only 7% of the words that you say actually close sales. Or actually get people to, not even close sales, just get people to agree with you. It's 55%, it's 55% tonality in your voice, so the words don't even matter. It's the tone in which you use those words, right? You could scream at somebody to have a nice day and be like, I was until you screamed at me, right? So it's the tonality, and then it's 38%, I believe that was the other, yes, 38% body language. So people pay attention to your body language and the tonality of the words coming out of your mouth more than they do. That's how we pick up as humans. Those are the receptors that we have. So I want you to think about that. So you pay attention to them. That body language is, I'm paying attention to you. I'm not looking on my phone while I'm talking to you or rolling my eyes or checking my watch. I'm paying attention to you so I can demonstrate that I do understand what you're saying and I do understand your situation. And I can confidently close over it. I know that you're going through a divorce. I know that's a rough thing. Here's what I'd like to do to help you. I know you're going to be out of town because you're relocating. I'm going to call black tie movers and I'm going to get those guys here. They're going to roll out a red carpet. They're going to pack your shit up in one place, unpack it in the other. You'll never even know you moved other than you got a new house. And look for the problem and demonstrate how you're the solution, right? Not how you're an agent and you're an awesome agent, but that you have a solution. And then explain in detail what you offer. All right, so what's next? problem solve, don't pitch. That's a big deal to me. So I'm going to teach you guys catch in about 10 minutes, and I got to get out of here. It's the most powerful sales system in the world, and I'm going to go through it really quick. I've never taught it this quick before, but I'm going to go through it really quick. It's going to be very simple, but do not knock the simplicity of it. So when I get on the phone with somebody who's an inbound lead, this works through text message, email, voicemail. However, when I get on the phone with somebody, we'll use the phone for this scenario. The first thing I'm going to say to them is I'm going to go, hey, that's awesome. Hey, it's Ryan Stewman. I'm calling with JPAR Realtor. I've got your information online that you're thinking about purchasing a house. What neighborhood are you looking to buy a home in? They're going to say, oh, I'm looking in Prestonwood. It's like, oh, awesome. I've sold 3 homes there in the last year, right? Don't lie to them. Maybe you sold 3 homes there in the last 3 years, or 1 home in the last year, or whatever, or the neighborhood next door to it, or in that city, right? Expand your territory. But what I'm doing up front is I say, oh, you know, I sold a lovely couple a home there about a year ago. It's a great neighborhood. You've picked a fine place to list a home, right? What we're doing is we're telling them that somebody similar to them has got the results that they desire, and we're solving objections before we even get into the sales conversation. That's happening within the first 30 seconds of this conversation. They think it's casual talk. Oh, that's such a cool neighborhood. I love that neighborhood. I've helped a couple move in there about a year ago. So they're just thinking it's small talk, but what you're doing is you're subliminally planning that, hey, you're the person that has the solution and has helped somebody similar to them before. That's called social proof. Then when they say, oh yeah, that's awesome, I'm going to say the most powerful question in sales. I'm going to say, what made you decide to reach out? Just like that. And that's where that's called C, clarify the difference between why they think they're there and why they're really there. And so when I ask them, I say, hey, what made you decide to reach out? There's 2 types of people that answer that. The 20% that go, well, you know, it all started back in this day, and now I'm getting a divorce, and they like tell you this long story and spill their heart out to you. 80% of the people put their guard up. Well, I'm just looking to see, you know, shopping around for realtors or whatever, right? So you have to expect both of those. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, hey, so what made you decide to reach out today? And they're going to tell me, and if they're the 20% and they talk a lot, I'm going to mind the rules. I'm going to shut the fuck up and let them talk so I can learn from them, right? If they're the 80% that doesn't talk that much, I've got to get them to talk, right? Because if I talk the most, I lose the conversation. So that's when I'm going to do A. I'm going to assign their mind to an agenda. And here's the word track that goes with that. I'm going to say, what made you decide to reach out? They're going to give me a rebuttal, and I'm going to say awesome, no matter what it is. I'm going to say awesome, and I'm going to say, well, here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to ask you some questions to find out how I can best solve your situation. Meanwhile, I'm going to ask you questions to find out how I can best solve your situation. All I ask is that you answer them honestly. Meanwhile, if you have any questions for me, feel free to interrupt me, and I'll answer honestly as well. Does that sound fair? Well, there's 2 big trigger words that I've planted in this word track, fair and honest. That's what you want them to perceive about you, right? We got a fair agreement, and we're going to both be honest with each other. Okay, those are 2 trigger words that are planted into this. So like the NLP that I've put together in this script is off the chain, but it's very simple. But what happens is I've assigned their mind to agenda, so now we're not on a sales call. We're in an interview process. I'm going to ask you some questions to see how I can best help you. I'll ask that you answer them honestly. Meanwhile, if you have any questions for me as we go through this, just interrupt me and ask, and I'll answer honestly as well. Does that sound fair? They've said yes, so we have an agenda. They've agreed to that agenda. And just think about that. When you get on a sales conversation, you don't know how it's going to go, right? So is he going to pitch me? Is he going to ask me questions? Is he going to give a shit about me? Is he going to tell me how much it's going to cost to list my house? Like, you're nervous. And when you put 2 nervous people together, the salesperson that's nervous to lose the deal, right? And then the person that's the prospect that's nervous to overpay or get sold. People love to buy shit. They hate to get sold stuff, right? And you have those 2 nervous people together, but when you say, hey, we're just asking you some questions, it takes the steam off. The next thing is, once we tell them that we're going to ask them questions and we get them to agree to answer honestly, we've got to keep our word. We've got to ask them questions. So you guys, we do this T. We're going to talk them through the pain. We're going to ask them questions to where they confess to us what their issue is. You need to have 6 or 7 go-to questions already. What area are you looking for? What time frame are you wanting to move? What's the reason you're moving? Do you already have a real estate agent? Have you been pre-approved for a mortgage? Things of that nature, right? You need to have 5 or 10 pre-approved questions that are going to lead your prospects down the path to like, oh, okay, that's where the pain is. Pain is they're going through divorce. The pain is there's not enough rooms in their house for the amount of kids that they're about to have. The pain is they're relocating, right? Until you can identify that pain. Like and you have to, this is where the hard questions are important because you have to identify that pain. When you go into the doctor and you say, doc, my elbow hurts, he doesn't start feeling on your knee. A lot of salespeople do that though. They go in and they ask a question and they're like, what made you decide to reach out? And it's like, I'm going through a divorce. And then they say, okay, well, what time frame are you looking to move in? Right? They're not going to the thing. It's like, man, you know what? I'm sorry that you're having to go through divorce. It's a really stressful time. What do you think is going to be the most stressful thing about this whole move situation if that's what you're facing? Right? And then you find out what they're most worried about and you help make sure that you can alleviate that worry. Once you identify that pain, once you tell the doctor goes and he rubs on your elbow and you're like, shit. And he diagnoses you. Right? It's like, the problem is you have acute tendonitis. You should probably stop playing tennis so much. And so what you're going to do is you're going to close them. So once they've admitted what that pain is, you're going to close them. You're going to make them an offer. Okay, well, here's what I can do for you. I can make this really easy on you since you're going through divorce. I like to help you get set up with the movers. I can hook you up with the right divorce attorney. I can be the go-to person in between you and your wife and the mediator so where you don't have to deal with any of this financial stuff. I'll keep all your business secret from her. I'll keep all of her business secret from you. And I'll be the guy that you can call in the middle of the night when she pisses you off because you can't see your kids and you can yell at me. Does that sound fair? Well, fuck, if you want the business, if they're going to pay you 40 grand, shit, why not work for it, right? I guarantee you that person that hears me tell that I actually care and want to support them in that way, I guarantee you that person doesn't call 3 or 4 more realtors. And here's what I do know. If you uncover people's problems, you have a better chance of closing them because people don't want their problems known all around town. They don't want the whole damn community to know that they're getting a divorce. So if you're the one that extracts them out of them, it's like, I got a secret, right? And then I'd like to tell you that everybody just goes, take my money, right? But that's not what happens. Remember those 20% that have the, it started back in the 7th grade story? Well, those 20%, they'll usually be the ones that say, take my money, especially if you listen and you didn't interrupt them. But the 80%, they're going to have objections. And so you're going to help them make a decision. You might say, well, normally it's 7%, and they might stall. You might say, hey, the price 7%, $997 up front, and they might stall. But if you take action today, I'll do it for 6% and no money up front. Right? You incentivize those people that stall. Also, you need to write down 15 or 20 different objections that you know you're going to get. That's too expensive. That's not enough money for my house. We're not ready to list yet. We're not ready to buy yet. We're not pre-approved, blah, 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 blah. You need to know all that too so that you can go in there knowing that you're going to get those objections and know what to say to handle those. So you're going to clarify the difference between why they're there and why they think they're there. You're going to ask them what made you decide to reach out. Then you're going to assign their mind to an agenda by saying, okay, awesome. What I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you some questions to figure out how I'm best fit for how I can best solve your situation. I'll ask that you answer them honestly. Meanwhile, if you have any questions for me, feel free to interrupt and I'll answer them honestly as well. Does that sound fair? Remember those trigger words, fair and honest. In the what made you decide to reach out, the trigger word is decision, right? We got the human being to already make a decision. Then we're going to do what we said we're going to do. We're going to talk them through the pain by asking questions. And then we're going to close them by making them an offer and then help them make the decision if we need to by some sort of incentive. It doesn't even have to be I'll knock 1% off and $9.97. It could be, well, here's the thing. If you agree to do it on this phone call, I'll show up at your motherfucking house with a sign tonight, right? We'll sell this bitch tomorrow, right? Like it could be whatever their sense of urgency is. My Mac's about to die. So I'd like to offer you guys this before I leave because it'd be weird. I'm in sales. I told you guys I was going to offer you something. We teach all of this stuff. Facebook marketing from not like some high level, but like the details, how to copy pixels, what software to use, all this stuff in a program that we call Break Free Academy Entourage. It's $297 a month, or it's $2,500 for the entire year. Every month you get a workbook in the mail that has it's like a magazine of exclusive material. Plus we send you a gift. Sometimes it's a mug, sometimes it's a t-shirt. Then we have access. There's over 700 people in the program. Most of them do $40, $50 million. So y'all's top producer would be like an average, for not taking anything away, would be an average person that produces in our group. So there's always something you can learn from other people outside of me. We have tons of loan officers like Kenneth and Kellen in the back. Guys, raise your hand. Those guys, like they said, they generate leads for their real estate partners. And you got these guys and many more that are a part of this as well. It's where you can actually get in with loan officers that get this stuff, that are generating leads and need an agent to work the leads for them as well. Plus, we do live training twice a month. We have a shitload of digital content that's back there in our membership site. And if you sign up today at breakfreeacademy.com/entourage, you can send me an email at ryan@hardcorecloser.com, and I will give you a free ticket to come to our Break Free Academy reunion at Union Station in Dallas, October 26th and 27th. I have Marshall Silver speaking. He trained Donald Trump, George Bush, Barack Obama, and Bill Clinton how to speak from the stage. right? He's the reason Barack Obama does this and Donald Trump does this. Like, that's my fucking boy. He's going to be speaking at this. He's the world's greatest magician. He's been on David Letterman. I'm going to have Katrina Ruth, who's a transformational coach from Australia. She's a female empowerment coach. So a lot of you ladies will really love Katrina. She'll be speaking there, and we have a ton of other like top tier talent. Some of your favorite gurus and stuff will be there, and I'll give you that ticket for free for signing up today, so you'll learn all of this stuff. So that's it for me. I'm going surfing. Again, the website is breakfreeacademy.com/entourage. If you sign up, just send us an email, and whether you stay in more than a month or not, we'll send you a ticket to the event. And at the event, you're going to meet a lot of my friends that make a lot of money, that invest in real estate. Dallas is a hot market, so you could come there and pay $2,500 for a year and leave with the $5,000, $10,000 commission check. So you guys feel like you got something good today? Awesome.
Well, I know you guys took a lot of nuggets. You were entertained. You were educated. You know, you might have been a little pitched or whatever. So.
I didn't ask JP if I could do that. Better to ask, forgiveness than permission.
You don't mind at all. So take a good hard look at the hardcore closer guys. A lot of good stuff on. You have a couple of public Facebook groups as well that we're all part of.
Yeah, so salestalkgroup.com is that for the real estate agents. We have one called Modern Agents, and so Modern Agents is the name of the group. There's probably 400 or 500 real estate agents in there too. That's free, that you can join and network with people in there, because all of our clients are generating leads through the methods that I just shared with you. And so you might have a realtor in Virginia that has somebody relocating to Dallas that got a lead through their deal that needs agents to work down here too. We have people exchanging leads like that all the time, referrals and stuff. So.
Awesome. I know you guys are going to see him. We're going to include Ryan more of our stuff as we grow, and obviously he's going to go off to Costa Rica and have a good time. But yeah, that'll be. I think that's going to be an awful time. Anybody want to go?
Those guys want to go.
Yeah. Hey, thanks, guys.
Thanks again, everybody.
Bye. Thanks a lot.
JP, man, thanks for having me, dude. I'll see you in a couple weeks for wedding.